In the icy waters off Iceland, more than 3 decades ago, a young killer whale was born. His name would become one of the most famous and most controversial in marine park history. He was called Tilikum. For years, Tilikum was one of SeaWorld Orlando's star attractions, 12,000-pound giant with immense power and grace. But behind the smiles of audiences and the roar of applause was a darker, more complicated story. Tilikum's life in captivity began in Canada, at a park where conditions were far from ideal. In 1991, tragedy struck. A trainer fell into the tank and, according to an inquest, Tilikum and 2 other whales prevented her from escaping. The trainer drowned. It was the first incident that would forever change how people saw this magnificent creature. Soon after, Tilikum was moved to SeaWorld Orlando. But in 1999, another mysterious death occurred. A man who had sneaked into the park overnight was found lifeless in Tilikum's tank. Authorities ruled he died from hypothermia, but there were signs the whale had bitten him. Then came the day that would make headlines around the world. February 24, 2010. Brancheau, one of SeaWorld's most experienced trainers, was performing with Tilikum in front of a live audience. Moments later, horror unfolded. Tilikum grabbed her, pulled her underwater, and would not let go. Witnesses said it was chaos. Screams from the crowd, frantic attempts to rescue. The investigation concluded that Dawn died from drowning and blunt force trauma. The world was shocked. The story didn't end there. Tilikum's life and Dawn's death became the focus of the groundbreaking documentary Blackfish. It exposed the hidden reality of orcas in captivity, the cramped tanks, the stress, and how it can lead to aggression. The film painted a disturbing picture that captivity doesn't just harm whales physically, but mentally. SeaWorld defended its care for Tilikum, insisting he lived a long and enriching life. But animal welfare groups told a different story. PETA called his decades in captivity 3 decades of misery. Experts pointed to signs of mental distress and argued that such conditions could lead to illness and aggression. Tilikum spent the remainder of his life out of public performances, isolated from other whales for safety reasons. By 2016, SeaWorld announced an end to its orca breeding program and pledged to phase out theatrical killer whale shows entirely, a decision many saw as a direct result of Tilikum's story and the impact of Blackfish. On January 6, 2017, SeaWorld announced Tilikum had died at the estimated age of 36. He had been battling serious health problems. In their statement, they acknowledged his connection to the tragedy of Brancheau, but also thanked him for the memories he gave to millions. To some, Tilikum will always be remembered as a dangerous whale. To others, he's a tragic victim of human entertainment, a symbol of why these magnificent predators don't belong in tanks. In the end, his story is a reminder. When we can find wild animals for our amusement, we change them, and not always for the better. The question is, have we learned enough from Tilikum's life and his death to ensure history never repeats itself?